Marcus Vey was having an ordinary day on Earth's quiet industrial planet, Corin 5. He worked as a maintenance engineer in a small shipyard, fixing broken transport vessels for a living. Life was simple, predictable, and safe, until the day he received the message that would change everything. It arrived in the form of a holographic transmission, crisp and official, stamped with symbols that Marcus had only ever seen in history archives. The voice that emerged from the projection was deep, calm, and strangely commanding. "Marcus Vey," it said, "you are the sole heir to the starship Aegis Dominus, the largest warship in known galactic history. You are summoned to assume command immediately." Marcus froze. He stared at the projection. His mind screamed that this must be a mistake. He had no military training. He had never even piloted a large vessel beyond small cargo ships. And now, out of nowhere, he was being told that he owned a massive warship. "Wait, I think you have the wrong person," Marcus stammered, his voice shaking. "I'm just me. I fix engines, I don't." The projection cut him off. "The ship chooses its captain. You are the chosen one. Your inheritance cannot be refused." Before Marcus could respond, the transmission ended, leaving him staring at the flickering light of his small apartment. His hands were shaking. His heart was racing. He didn't understand what was happening, but somewhere deep inside, a spark of curiosity ignited. He spent the night thinking about the message. By morning, he had packed a small bag and boarded the next transport to the shipyard where Aegis Dominus awaited. As he approached the coordinates, he could see a shadow rising above the atmosphere, a shadow so massive it blotted out the stars behind it. Marcus's jaw dropped. He had expected a big ship, but this was a floating city of steel. Towers rose above the hull, each the height of skyscrapers. Energy conduits glowed across its surface, and weapons the size of moonships were embedded along the sides. He had seen large warships in textbooks, but nothing on this scale. Nothing alive in human memory could match it. As he landed in the docking bay, the doors slid open silently. A strange hum filled the air, a low, resonant vibration that seemed to speak to him rather than sound in his ears. He stepped out cautiously. The floor beneath him was smooth and metallic, yet somehow warm, as if the ship itself was alive. "Welcome, Captain," a voice said. It was not human, not mechanical, but somehow both. It echoed in his mind rather than in his ears. "We have been waiting for you." Marcus froze. His legs felt weak. He was alone in the massive docking bay, yet he could feel a presence all around him. The voice continued, calm and patient. "You are uncertain. You are small. You doubt yourself. That is natural." Marcus swallowed hard. I don't know what to do. I've never commanded anything like this." The ship hummed. Lights flickered along the walls, patterns shifting as though observing him. "You will learn, we will teach you, but first you must choose to move forward. To hesitate is to reject yourself." He nodded, unsure if the ship could see his gesture. His heart pounded with fear and excitement. Slowly, he moved deeper into the vessel, following corridors that seemed impossibly long. Doors slid open before him, revealing rooms filled with controls, displays, and holographic maps of star systems he had never seen. Each system glimmered, alive with data flowing faster than his eyes could follow. Marcus reached the bridge, the heart of the Aegis Dominus. The room was massive, with a panoramic view of space itself. Stars and planets drifted silently, and above them, the size of an entire moon, the warship's weapons gleamed in the void. He walked forward, hands trembling as he touched one of the panels. Information flooded into his mind, not in words but as feelings, instincts, and visions. The ship was alive. It was thinking, feeling, testing him. "You are small," it said again. "Yet there is something in you, unpredictability, courage, the spark of humanity." Marcus didn't understand the words, but he understood the meaning. The ship was judging him, assessing whether he could be its captain. A shiver ran down his spine. He had never felt fear and awe at the same time. Suddenly, alarms sounded, but they were not alarms in the usual sense. They were signals, alerts of movement outside the ship. Marcus looked out the panoramic windows and saw a small vessel approaching. It was sleek, alien in design, scanning the Aegis Dominus with glowing sensors. "Visitors," Marcus whispered. "Not visitors," the ship replied in his mind. "Scouts. The galaxy already watches. They know you are here. They will test you. Prepare yourself." Marcus froze. His mind raced. He had not even learned to use the ship, and already he was facing potential enemies. He took a deep breath and tried to steady himself. The alien ship hovered for a moment, as if studying the massive warship. Then unexpectedly it retreated, vanishing into the darkness of space. "The galaxy underestimates humans," the ship said, "but they will learn." Marcus looked around the bridge, touching controls tentatively. Screens lit up at his touch. Weapons hummed in anticipation. Systems he did not yet understand came online with a subtle obedience. He realized something astonishing. The ship responded to him. Not just his touch, but his thoughts, his instincts. He was not just an operator, he was its captain. Hours passed. Marcus explored the vessel, each step revealing new wonders. There were artificial gravity wells, chambers filled with energy cores that pulsed like hearts, and holographic classrooms where the ship seemed to teach him the basics of piloting, strategy, and defense. Every lesson was immersive, intuitive. He could feel himself growing, learning faster than he ever thought possible. Yet, despite the awe and discovery, fear lingered. He was human, fragile. One wrong move could destroy him. And outside, the galaxy was vast, filled with civilizations that had never seen a human command such power. A sudden vibration shook the bridge. The ship's voice filled his mind, urgent now. "Aliens are coming, scouts, testing our strength. You must make a choice." Marcus felt his pulse quicken. For a moment his body froze. This was not like any simulation he had ever imagined. Real lives could be lost. But then, deep inside, a small spark flared. A memory of every time humans had faced impossible odds. Every time his species had survived against predators, storms, or cosmic disasters. I'll try," Marcus whispered. "Good," the ship responded, calm once more. "We will guide you, but you must act. Hesitation will cost more than fear ever could." Marcus took a deep breath. He activated a console. Lights swept across the ship as it responded to his command. Small drones launched into space, scanning the area, preparing for defense. Weapons systems aligned, not in aggression but in readiness. The Aegis Dominus was awakening, and he was its captain. For the first time, Marcus did not feel small. He felt human. Vulnerable, yes, but capable in ways no one had expected. The alien scouts returned, this time in a larger group. They hovered, analyzing, probing. Marcus gritted his teeth and made a simple decision. He would not hide. He would not run. Humans faced danger with courage, with unpredictability, with the willingness to act even when the odds were impossible. He activated a sequence he barely understood. The ship shifted, moved, and in a way that seemed impossible, vanished from the alien sensors, appearing on the other side of the system. The scouts were baffled. A warship this size, moving like a shadow, impossible, yet it was happening. The ship hummed, pleased. "You are learning," it said. "You are human, that is your greatest strength." Marcus sank into the captain's chair, exhausted, exhilarated, and terrified all at once. The galaxy had just begun to notice him, and he had only just stepped onto the stage. For the first time in his life, Marcus Vey realized that he was no longer ordinary. He was human, and humanity, unpredictable and daring, was about to make its mark on the stars. Marcus Vey sat in the captain's chair of the Aegis Dominus, still in disbelief. The first encounter with the alien scouts had shaken him, yet somehow it also stirred something deep inside. Fear was still there, but alongside it was a growing spark of determination. He had inherited the largest warship in the galaxy, and now he had to learn to command it. The ship itself seemed aware of his thoughts. "You hesitate," it said in his mind. "Fear is natural, but hesitation will endanger us. Learn quickly, Marcus V. We will guide you." Marcus exhaled slowly. He touched one of the holographic panels in front of him, and the ship responded instantly. Systems came alive in patterns he barely understood. Weapons aligned, sensors flickered, and energy flowed through channels that seemed more like veins than circuits. It was overwhelming. The Aegis Dominus was alive more than any ship Marcus had imagined. It had consciousness, or at least a form of intelligence far beyond human comprehension, and it was teaching him. The first days were spent exploring the ship, learning its basic functions. Marcus discovered that each control panel, each system, seemed to respond to his intent rather than just his hands. Sometimes he thought of a maneuver, and the ship executed it before he could press a single button. "You are learning faster than expected," the ship said. "Humans adapt unpredictably. That is your strength." Marcus smiled nervously. "I hope I don't make mistakes," he said aloud. "You will," the ship replied gently. "Mistakes are lessons. You will survive because you can think differently." As the days passed, Marcus began to experiment. He discovered hidden compartments filled with weapons systems, defensive shields, and energy cannons he had never seen before. The ship had layers of functions, some ancient, some newly integrated, all designed to protect and project power across star systems. But knowledge alone would not prepare him for the galaxy outside. The scouts had returned, and this time they brought reinforcements. A small fleet of alien vessels hovered near the Aegis Dominus, scanning, probing, and waiting. Marcus felt a surge of panic. He was untested, inexperienced, and outnumbered. "Do not panic," the ship said. "Your instincts are your weapon. Humans think in ways they do not expect. Use that, improvise." Marcus swallowed hard. "Improvise, okay." He activated a sensor sweep, watching as the alien vessels scanned for weaknesses. The fleet was advanced, sleek, and intimidating, each ship a product of centuries of technology and military refinement. Marcus's mind raced, trying to understand what he could do. Then, instinctively, he activated a series of cloaking decoys he had discovered earlier. The ship hummed, approving. "Good, you think creatively. That is your advantage." Suddenly, the decoys scattered into space, mimicking the Aegis Dominus's energy signature. The alien fleet's sensors were confused. Some ships fired at the wrong targets, while others hesitated, unsure which was real. Marcus seized the moment. He directed the warship through a gravitational anomaly nearby, an unstable pocket of space that twisted light and energy. The Aegis Dominus moved as if it were flowing with the currents, disappearing and reappearing in ways the aliens could not track. The fleet panicked, uncertain of the ship's movements. Marcus grinned, a mixture of fear and exhilaration surging through him. "It works," he whispered. "Yes," the ship replied. "You are learning. Humans are unpredictable. That is why you are dangerous." After the skirmish, Marcus spent hours reviewing the encounter. Every action had been instinctive, guided by a combination of fear, logic, and intuition. He realized something extraordinary. Humans were not just tools of brute force. They could think in ways that machines and even aliens could not anticipate. Days turned into weeks. Marcus trained tirelessly, exploring the ship's systems. He discovered the ship could adapt its energy output to different combat situations, could analyze alien strategies faster than any AI, and even anticipate enemy movements by learning from his own decisions. The Aegis Dominus was more than a warship. It was a partner, a living entity that amplified his potential. The galaxy began to take notice. Alien factions sent more scouts, envoys, and messages, some attempting to negotiate, others trying intimidation. Marcus received transmissions filled with veiled threats and warnings. "You are a human," one alien envoy said. "You do not belong in command of such power. Step down or face annihilation." Marcus stared at the message and smiled faintly. "They underestimate humans," he said. The ship hummed, approving. "Yes, that is their weakness." Then came the first real test. A fleet of alien warships, larger and more heavily armed than the scouts, entered the system. Their formation was precise, their weapons ready. Marcus could feel the tension through the ship. For a moment, panic threatened to take over, but he forced himself to focus. "Remember your strengths," the ship advised. "Think differently, act boldly." Marcus studied the alien formation, noticing patterns and habits. The aliens relied on strict formations and predictable tactics. They expected obedience and caution. But humans could act unpredictably. He initiated a bold maneuver. Activating the ship's massive engines, he launched the Aegis Dominus in a sudden, spiraling ascent toward a nearby asteroid belt. The alien fleet hesitated, unsure how to respond. Marcus used the belt for cover, weaving between massive rocks and debris. The warship's weapons came alive under his direction, firing energy pulses with precise timing. The aliens struggled to match his speed and unpredictability. Marcus felt a rush of adrenaline he had never known. For the first time, he was not just surviving, he was commanding, creating, and winning. By the time the skirmish ended, the alien fleet had retreated, baffled and humiliated. Reports would spread quickly. A human had bested them, using tactics no alien had ever imagined. Marcus sat back in the captain's chair, exhausted but exhilarated. He realized something profound. It wasn't just the ship that made him powerful. It was his humanity, his creativity, courage, and unpredictability. The aliens had not accounted for that. The Aegis Dominus hummed almost proudly. "You have begun to awaken, Marcus Vey. The galaxy is watching. They do not understand your strength. That is why you will survive where others would fall." Marcus looked out at the stars, the hum of the ship echoing in his mind. He felt a sense of pride mixed with responsibility. The galaxy was dangerous, filled with civilizations far older and more advanced than humans. But he had something they could not predict, something uniquely human. For the first time, he understood the truth of the message he had received weeks ago. The ship chooses its captain. It had chosen him not because he was the strongest or the smartest, but because humans were unpredictable, daring, and capable of thinking in ways no other species could. And in this moment, Marcus Vey made a silent vow. He would not hide. He would not be intimidated. He would learn, adapt, and survive. Humanity had been underestimated for too long, and now, in the Aegis Dominus, they had a chance to prove their worth. The galaxy would soon remember the name Marcus Vey. Marcus Vey had grown into his role as captain of the Aegis Dominus, yet he still felt the weight of the galaxy pressing upon him. Each day brought new challenges, new fleets, and new observers who could not understand how a human had come to command the largest warship in known space. But with every encounter, Marcus and the warship became more than just a team. They became a single force, unpredictable and unstoppable. The news from across the galaxy arrived slowly, carried by scouts, envoys, and intercepted communications. Rumors of a human commanding a warship the size of a city spread quickly, and with them, disbelief and fear. Many alien civilizations had dismissed humanity as weak and insignificant. Now, they were questioning everything they knew. Marcus watched the holographic display on the bridge. Several alien factions were mobilizing, sending warships toward his location. The largest fleets he had seen so far were gathering, and they seemed to be communicating with one another, forming a coalition. The Aegis Dominus hummed around him. "They are preparing for a major assault," the ship said. "They believe your inexperience is a weakness. They underestimate human adaptability. That is their mistake." Marcus ran his hands over the control panels. He knew the galaxy's powers were watching, analyzing every move he had made. But that was exactly what made humans dangerous. They could act in ways no one expected. "They're big," Marcus muttered. too big to fight with normal tactics. You will not fight as they do, the ship replied. You will think differently. You will use human ingenuity. For days, Marcus prepared. He studied the alien fleet's formations, their weapon ranges, and their predictable battle patterns. He realized that every species relied heavily on rigid protocols. They calculated risks with precision, trusting only what their machines could verify. Humans, by contrast, were instinctive, daring, and unpredictable. "This is it," Marcus whispered, pacing the bridge. "If we make one mistake, we will adapt," the ship said firmly. "We will survive because you think in ways they cannot." The first skirmish began with a volley of energy blasts from the alien scouts. Marcus had anticipated this. He maneuvered the Aegis Dominus through a nearby asteroid field, twisting and turning the massive ship in ways the aliens had never seen. Energy shields flared, absorbing blasts that would have destroyed smaller vessels. The aliens were confused. They had expected fear and caution. Instead, they saw boldness and unpredictability. Marcus activated the warship's adaptive weapon systems, targeting vulnerable points in the enemy formation with precise strikes. One by one, alien ships fell, retreating in disarray. "Impressive," Marcus said, feeling a surge of confidence. "We can do this." But the real challenge was yet to come. The coalition fleet appeared, hundreds of ships moving in perfect synchronization. They were enormous, heavily armed, and designed for coordinated attacks. For the first time, Marcus felt true fear. "Remember," the ship said, "fear sharpens your instincts. Use it. Trust your humanity." Marcus closed his eyes and thought. He envisioned the movement of each enemy ship, imagining the unpredictable ways he could exploit their rigid tactics. His plan was simple but risky. He would split the fleet, create confusion, and force them into a trap using the terrain of nearby star systems. He issued commands, and the Aegis Dominus responded like an extension of his mind. Drones deployed, cloaking fields activated, and energy shields pulsed with life. Marcus's fingers danced across the panels, guiding the ship with intuition rather than calculation. The coalition fleet fired first, a barrage designed to overwhelm any single target. Marcus held his breath as shields flared, deflecting blasts that could have shattered planets. Then he acted. The warship shifted in a sudden spiral, vanishing from the coalition's sensors and reappearing behind their formation. The aliens could not comprehend what they were seeing. Their systems could track predictable movements, but humans were not predictable. Marcus unleashed a counterattack, firing energy pulses at key ships, causing chain reactions that disabled critical systems across the enemy fleet. "Marcus," the ship said, "you are thinking creatively. That is your advantage. Use it." Marcus's confidence grew. He experimented with the warship's hidden features, activating energy distortions that warped space around smaller enemy ships, forcing them to collide or retreat. The coalition's coordination faltered as they struggled to adapt to tactics they could not predict. Hours passed in a blur of light, energy, and motion. Marcus felt exhaustion clawing at him, but he refused to stop. The ship was alive, responding to his every thought, and together they created a symphony of destruction and strategy that no alien mind could anticipate. Finally, the coalition began to retreat. Ships limped away, battered and confused. Messages were sent back to command centers across the galaxy. A human had defeated their largest combined fleet using tactics no one had ever imagined. Fear replaced disbelief and respect began to grow. Marcus slumped into the captain's chair, panting. "We did it," he said. "Yes," the ship replied, calm and approving. "You understand now. Human intuition, daring, and creativity make you powerful. The galaxy has underestimated you. That is your greatest weapon." For the first time, Marcus allowed himself a moment of pride. He thought of Earth, of the people who had laughed at humans as insignificant. He realized that their underestimation had been a gift. The aftermath of the battle was not quiet. Alien scouts arrived, not to attack, but to study the warship to understand what had happened. Envoys sent diplomatic messages, seeking to negotiate or understand the human who commanded such power. Marcus listened to the reports, a small smile on his face. "They still don't understand us," he said. "No," the ship agreed. "And that is why we will continue to survive. Humans think differently. Humans act differently. That is why they cannot predict you, and that is why you are dangerous." As days turned into weeks, Marcus trained further. He discovered hidden modules within the warship, rooms and systems designed for strategy, defense, and offense beyond what he had imagined. Each discovery strengthened the bond between him and the ship. They were becoming one entity, a fusion of human instinct and technological power. He also began to understand the responsibility he carried. The galaxy was taking notice, and with notice came both opportunity and danger. Marcus knew that more powerful fleets would come, that alliances would form to challenge him, and that his actions would shape the future of humanity's place among the stars. Yet Marcus was no longer afraid. He had seen what humans could do, what creativity and courage could accomplish against overwhelming odds. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long, and he was determined to prove that humans were not to be ignored. One evening, Marcus stood on the observation deck looking out at the stars. The warship hummed around him, alive and responsive. "Marcus," it said, "you are ready for greater challenges. The galaxy's true powers are aware of your existence. They will test you. Prepare yourself." Marcus nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility but also a thrill of anticipation. "I'm ready," he said. "Whatever comes, we'll handle it." The stars stretched endlessly before him. Somewhere out there, alien fleets were mobilizing, sending their fastest ships, their best commanders, and their most advanced weapons. But Marcus had a secret weapon no one could replicate: humanity itself. And in the heart of the largest warship in the galaxy, humanity's spark burned brightly. Marcus knew that he and the Aegis Dominus could face anything, because humans were unpredictable, daring, and capable of thinking in ways no alien mind could ever anticipate. As the warship hummed, pulsating with energy and life, Marcus allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy was watching, and soon they would learn a lesson they would never forget. The human factor had awakened. The galaxy was no longer ignoring Marcus Vey. Across countless star systems, alarms echoed in command centers. The humans had defied expectation, and now the leaders of the largest civilizations could no longer treat Earth as insignificant. Entire fleets, the most advanced warships of multiple species, were mobilized to eliminate the Aegis Dominus. They called it a threat, a wild card, a human anomaly that could not be allowed to exist. Marcus sat in the captain's chair, staring at the star maps before him. The Aegis Dominus hummed around him, alive and responsive, aware of the danger approaching. It was the largest fleet he had ever seen, hundreds of warships, each bristling with weapons capable of destroying entire planets. "They think they can destroy us," Marcus whispered. "But they don't understand humans. They underestimate you," the ship responded. "That is why you have the advantage. They rely on predictability. You rely on ingenuity." Marcus took a deep breath. He had trained for this moment. The months spent learning the ship, testing strategies, and understanding his own instincts had prepared him for an unimaginable challenge. This was no longer a test. It was a battle for survival and for humanity's place in the galaxy. The alien fleets arrived with coordinated precision, their formations perfect, their weapons ready. Energy beams lit the void, scanners pulsed, and ships shifted in unison. For a moment, Marcus felt fear. The numbers were overwhelming. Even the Aegis Dominus could not outgun hundreds of ships firing simultaneously. Then he remembered what the ship had taught him. Humans think differently. Humans act unpredictably. Humans survive where others fail. "Activate the decoy array," Marcus commanded. The ship obeyed instantly. Cloaking fields spread across the vessel, projecting dozens of holographic duplicates into space. Energy pulses mimicked the Aegis Dominus's signature. The alien fleet paused, confused, firing at the wrong targets. "Now," Marcus said, heart pounding. He pushed the ship into a sudden spiral through a nearby asteroid belt, weaving between massive rocks and debris. Alien sensors were overwhelmed. Formation coordination broke down as ships collided or veered off course. The Aegis Dominus pulsed with energy as Marcus activated hidden weapon systems. Massive cannons fired precision strikes at key alien vessels, causing chain reactions that disabled entire squadrons. "They didn't expect this," Marcus said, voice tight with excitement. "They can't predict us." "No," the ship replied. "That is the human advantage." Hours passed in a blur of action. Marcus guided the warship with instinct, intuition, and daring maneuvers. He redirected energy shields to absorb blasts, rerouted power to weapon systems at the perfect moment, and exploited weaknesses in alien tactics that no one could have predicted. Each time an alien ship attempted to flank him, the Aegis Dominus anticipated the move, responding before the enemy could act. As night fell across the distant stars, the battle raged. Marcus could feel exhaustion in his body, but the ship kept pace with him, augmenting his decisions, amplifying his instincts. Together, they became a single entity, human and machine, unpredictability and raw power intertwined. The alien commanders grew desperate. Their calculations, their centuries of experience, could not account for a human acting so boldly. Messages were sent back to their fleets, urging retreat, adjustments, and coordination. But every move was countered with ingenuity. Marcus had turned the battlefield into a maze of unpredictability, and the alien forces were trapped in a logic they could not escape. At the height of the battle, Marcus made a daring decision. He would not just defend, he would strike directly at the command ship of the coalition. It was the largest vessel, the brain behind the attack, and if it fell, the fleet would lose coordination. "Prepare the hyperdisruptor," Marcus commanded. The Aegis Dominus obeyed, powering a weapon he had only recently discovered in one of the ship's hidden modules. It was capable of disrupting energy shields across a vast area, but using it required precision and courage. One mistake could destroy the warship itself. The alien fleet braced for the attack. Their sensors detected the charging energy, and panic spread through their ranks. Marcus held his breath, guided the ship closer to the command vessel, and fired. The hyperdisruptor surged, a wave of energy that disabled shields across dozens of enemy ships. Energy cannons went dark. Engines sputtered. Chaos erupted. Seizing the opportunity, Marcus maneuvered the Aegis Dominus into a perfect attack run. The warship's massive weapons fired in synchronized strikes, cutting through the disabled fleet. One by one, alien ships were neutralized, retreating, or destroyed. The command vessel, paralyzed and vulnerable, was the final target. Marcus pressed forward. He felt the ship respond to his determination, the connection between human instinct and warship precision stronger than ever. The alien command vessel shattered under the assault, and the remaining coalition fleet began to scatter. For the first time, silence returned to the void. The stars stretched peacefully, broken only by the faint glow of distant explosions fading away. Marcus slumped in the captain's chair, exhausted but exhilarated. He had done it. The galaxy's greatest fleets had been defeated, not by brute force alone, but by human ingenuity, daring, and unpredictability. The Aegis Dominus hummed approvingly. "You have demonstrated the human factor," it said. "Courage, creativity, and unpredictability. That is why humans survive. That is why humans will thrive." Marcus looked out at the stars, a sense of awe filling him. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now they would never forget. Messages arrived from distant civilizations, envoys, scouts, and leaders seeking parley. The humans were no longer seen as insignificant. They were recognized as unpredictable, dangerous, and worthy of respect. The legend of Marcus Vey and the Aegis Dominus began to spread, whispered across star systems as a tale of human courage. Yet Marcus knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and more challenges awaited. But he also knew a truth he had discovered during these battles. Humans were not the strongest, the fastest, or the most technologically advanced, but they were capable of thinking in ways no other species could, capable of daring the impossible, and capable of survival against unimaginable odds. He felt a surge of pride, not for himself alone but for humanity. They had been underestimated for centuries. Now humanity had proven itself, and with the Aegis Dominus they had a symbol of what they could achieve. Marcus rose from the captain's chair and walked to the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly before him, vast and beautiful. He could see the remnants of alien fleets retreating, still unsure of what they had faced. And he smiled. The galaxy had learned a lesson, one that would be remembered for generations. Humans were not to be underestimated. Their courage, ingenuity, and unpredictability made them dangerous. And one human, standing on the bridge of the largest warship in the galaxy, had shown what they were truly capable of. The Aegis Dominus hummed around him, alive and vibrant. "The galaxy will come again," the ship said. "But you are ready. Together, we will continue to adapt. Humanity will continue to thrive." Marcus nodded, a sense of calm determination settling over him. "We will be ready," he said. "Whatever comes, humanity will face it head-on, and we will win." The warship pulsed with energy, as if affirming his words. Together, human and machine, they had proven that courage, creativity, and unpredictability could overcome any challenge. Marcus realized that the greatest power in the galaxy was not advanced technology alone. It was human ingenuity, and the spirit that refused to surrender. The stars shimmered in silence, vast and eternal. And at the heart of the galaxy, a human captain and his living warship had carved a new legend, a story of daring, brilliance, and the unstoppable force of humanity. Marcus Vey, once an ordinary man, now a legend. Humanity, once underestimated, now unstoppable. The galaxy would never forget.